Hi there Trailblazers, my name is Cam, and in today's video we're going to make a Slack app to connect to our Salesforce Marketing Cloud instance to search for a data extension. I'll step you through how to use the Boilerplate Slack app to build your very first Marketing Cloud Slack integration, and then I'll show you how you can use some SSJS and WS proxy to search for a data extension. So before we start programming today, let me take you through what the plan is. We're going to make a Slack app. And the Slack app we'll be able to use through a / command inside of one of our Slack channels. We can type into our / command the name of a data extension that we're trying to find. We'll then go through the Slack app, connecting to a JSON code resource page in Marketing Cloud. Using some SSJS and a WS proxy, we'll then locate the name of that data extension and its location, returning back a response for us in our Slack channel. And of course, if there is no data extension found by that name, it'll respond with a not found message. So the way this all should work is we should be able to go into our Slack channel and type in our / command with a payload, which will be sent through our Slack app and into our code resource page. We'll then do some processing using SSJS and WS proxy to then formulate our response, which we then send back into our Slack channel inside of Slack. So to begin with for today, we're going to jump into Cloud Pages and make ourselves that JSON code page. To do this, we can click on the Add Content button and choose the code resource type. In the code resource type, you can choose a name. I'm going to use Slack API as my name for today. You can then click on Next. And on our next screen, we must choose the JSON code resource type. This is important because the Slack API uses the JSON code types for its responses. You then press Save. Now that the code resource page is complete, we can copy in some code to start building our app. Now in the video description below, there's a link to this code resource page, which will contain some SSJS code to start making our / command app. You can copy across this code and paste it straight into your cloud page, just like that. So let me step you through what this code is doing. The first thing we're doing is setting some configuration items. We need to copy the app ID and the verification token from our soon to be created Slack API. We then need to copy in the channel name we want to authorize for our Slack communications. We also need to make a data extension and put the data extension external key in this field here. Now when we make a call using a / command from Slack, it's going to send through some form data. We're doing a couple of form calls here to collect that data, render up the JSON payload, and get the fields that we need to make some comparisons. Now in order to make sure this page is secure, we're doing 3 checks. We're making sure that the app that's connecting to this code resource page is going to contain the same application ID we've set earlier on. We're doing the same check using the verification token to make sure that the app's verification token is the same one being sent through in the API's payload. And the final step is to make sure that the channel that's being used to trigger this / command is also on the verified channel list. And if all of those conditions come back as true, we can proceed with our app. Now the first step is to then produce an output. And we can see here some default text that I've included in our code today. This is using the blocks methodology for Slack, and we've got a markdown type with a text response of, this is a section block with a ghost emoji, this is bold, this is crossed out, and here is a link that you can include as well. Now if these evaluations come back as false, which means that either the app is incorrect, the token's incorrect, or it's the wrong channel to be initiated from, then the false section will trigger, which is the unauthorized section. In this section, the response by default is not authorized. And we've also got a logging function in this boilerplate code. The logit function is going to log the response into a data extension, the data extension that we specify up here. Now the logit function allows us to capture the payload of information coming in from Slack into Marketing Cloud, but also trigger out anything else that we want. So for example, I'm also going to log if an unauthorized attempt has occurred during this app's running. So now that we know how the code works, let's go and create the 2 remaining items for our code today. We need a data extension and a Slack API. To start off with, the data extension you'll see inside of this link. You can see our structure here is a data extension that contains 2 fields, a text field called text with a 400 length and nullable, and a event date field with a date using the current date as default. So we can jump into our Marketing Cloud and create ourselves that new data extension. As a standard, I'm going to choose to use Slack log, and then go next. For our fields, we need to use text, a text length of 4000, a nullable, and event date using the date type, nullable, and current date. We then press create, and we need to copy that data extension's external key. So we'll jump in here and copy that external key and go back into our cloud page and paste that as our external key into our function. So we have our code resource page and a data extension. All we're missing is our Slack app. Now to create a new Slack app, we can go to api.slack.com, which will bring us to this page here. We can click on the Create an App button, which takes us to this view. Now, of course, we'll choose the From Scratch option today. We then choose our app name, and I call this the DE Finder. And for our workspace, choose a workspace that you want to deploy this app into. Once you're done, you can press on the Create App button. So here we have our newly created Slack app. Now for our app, we need to use the / command in order to make our commands work from our Slack channel. We can then scroll down and click on the / commands function here. With our / commands, we can create a new / command. Now using a / command means in your Slack channel, you can type in / followed by some text, and then it will initiate the callback for our app. Now our command today, I'm going to choose find DE. Now the request URL is going to be our cloud page that we created. So we can go back into our cloud pages and we can copy that resource page and paste it as our request URL. For our description, we can choose whatever we want. So find a DE in SFMC. We can now press the save button. And now our / command is being created. And that's it. We now have a / command for our Slack API. Now for our next step, we have to go into the basic information section and copy down some information about our Slack app. If we scroll down, we need to find two sections of information in this window, the app ID and the verification token. We can copy our app ID and go back into our cloud page and paste the app ID into the app ID section. We then go back into our Slack information screen and copy our verification token, and again, paste it back into our cloud page. And the last thing we have to do is to specify what Slack channels you want to authorize for this app. Now I've created my own Slack channel called Cam Slack API, and I can paste that Slack channel's name into the array here. And if you want to, you can add additional channels by using the comma-separated array for additional channel authorizations. So for example, channel 2. So now that our code is complete, we can save and publish our code resource page. And there's now one final step, which is to deploy our app into our workspace. So back in our basic information screen, we can click on the Install to Workspace button, which will install our app into our workspace. We have to give our app permissions, and so we can click on the Allow button, which will deploy our app into our workspace. So we can now jump into our Slack instance and make sure that our app has been deployed successfully. We can navigate to the channel that we've chosen as our authorized channel and type in our / command. And my command today was /find.de, and there it is there. Now our function as it is right now is only going to produce a static response, the section code that was included in the default code for today. So whatever we put into our find.de will not find a DE just yet, we're just going to test the response. So for now, I'll just use the word test. And then press enter to send off our code, and there we are, there's the response. This is a section block with a ghost emoji, this is bold, this is crossed out, and that's exactly what we had in the SSJS code for our app. And don't forget that we had that data extension that was logging all the payloads. So you can navigate into Contact Builder and have a look at the data extension for yourself, where you can see the entire payload that was sent from Slack into Marketing Cloud. So let's make one quick alteration to our SSJS code to make sure that we can send a value from our Slack / command into our SSJS code. Now inside of our code payload, there is a form field called text. That is all the information that is stored after the / command. We're storing that value as post text. So we should be able to copy that variable and go into our success response here and include that variable in our text. So we can say this is a section block. We can then break our string, add some plus signs, and paste in that variable. This should mean that it's going to now say this is a section block, space, followed by whatever text we include in our / command. Let's go publish to publish that page. and then back into our Slack app to test it out for ourselves. So now we're back in Slack, let's try it again. We use our / command and return back to our / command, and now put in something different, such as SSJS. I'll now press enter, and we should now see that variable SSJS has come through in our response. Fantastic. Okay, and now that we know how the SSJS code works and how payloads are sent from our Slack call into Marketing Cloud, let's have some real fun. In the video description below, I'll put a link to this code resource, the Slack SFMC DE Finder app. This is exactly the same code as our current app that we've already built, with one exception. Our do functions here section contains some SSJS WS proxy calls. This information here will be used to actually find that data extension. So you can copy this section here, the entire true section of our command, because nothing else is changing, it's just this one section here. We can copy that and go back into our cloud page and paste that into our do functions here section, removing that original code and pasting it in just there. And of course, if you are starting from scratch, you can copy and paste the entire code and follow through my instructions on how to fill out those other fields. So to take you through now what this last part of the function does, we're going to call a WS proxy. We're then going to retrieve the data extension object using our WS proxy, returning back some information such as the name and location. We're also going to use a search string on the property of name, where the value that we search is that post text, that variable that we are declaring as coming through from our payload. There it is there. We're using that as our search field. We then find the record, if there is of course a record to be found. We then go through and find the folder that's stored in. And we'll cycle through that folder, trying to get every single folder that it's in from the data extension folder up. We'll then output that value of that data extension location along with the found and the name of the data extension, and of course its location. Now of course, the else statement here means if there was no data extension found with that name, could not be found, and then a cry emoji. And that's it. That's all our code. We can now press the publish button to set it all live. So with our cloud page republished, we can go back into our Slack app and try our function one more time. Let's try now find DE, and this time I'm going to try and find my DE. I've got a data extension which is called cam space DE, so I'll type in cam space DE and enter. And there we are. We've found my DE, which was called cam DE, which was indeed in the data extensions folder. Fantastic. We can try this again, this time using a data extension which I know I do not have. So for example, my find DE function, this time I'll say cam with two M's DE. I don't have that one, so of course could not find cam DE, and a cry emoji. Now let's try one more search. This time I'm going to search for the data extension that I used in my AMP script exercise, which was called AMP-E01. And search for that one, and sure enough I stored it in my public challenges AMP script folder. Fantastic. So there we have it, a basic Slack app that you can build for yourself inside of a Marketing Cloud code resource page, which you can then call using a / command to do any function you wish. And of course, for our demo today, we chose to search for a data extension within our Marketing Cloud instance. And I hope you've enjoyed making the Slack app in Marketing Cloud with me today. I hope you can use that code resource to make some cool Slack apps for yourself. If you do, let me know what you've made in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video if you've enjoyed it today, and also click on that subscribe button so you can be notified when I release more Salesforce Marketing Cloud content.